It's nice to see people, but thank you also for joining on Google Meets. We appreciate people wanting to get the information, and we'll of course record and post. Well, we've been busy. So we just finished budgets, and but once the budget is sort of set by the legislature and the governor's office, there's all of this work that has to be done in putting it into the systems that track it. And there's a lot of redundant work. I know that surprises all of you hearing that we have to do redundant work, and because systems don't talk to each other in the government. But I find it very fun to put the same information into a third location. But it is what it is. And did I mention I really miss Debbie Nupp, who used to do more of that? So yes, I playfully text with Jim and say things like, "You definitely weren't paid enough for that." It's you go in, and a lot of the questions are asked statewide, and they're designed for agencies that are not the Department of Real Estate per se, but you have to put something there. They're required fields, but you're sort of sitting there going, what does this even mean? And sometimes things that are fairly simple take longer than you wish they would. But so that's kind of the reality of what's going on in my office right now. We are not going to run with any legislation this year. We have a tiny team, we're 23 people, and we have an IT modernization system to get off of the ground. Our understanding is the amount of work that we do up front and being very detailed in how the framework is established for that new case management and licensing and database is imperative to how well it functions for end users. And so even though there are things that, would be nice to legislatively work on this or to do that, most people in the department are cross-trained across a couple of different areas. And the reality is we have to dedicate the time to get that new IT system correct and up and operational for all of you. Unfortunately, I was checking on my phone. I can't make the announcement yet, but I can say we are very close to awarding a contract to a vendor. So that part is done. And then as soon as that's official, I can start writing the project investment justification. That meeting with ITAC happens monthly. So what I'll end up doing is submitting our project investment justification to the Governor's Office of Strategic Planning and Budget. They have a 2-week period where they review it and they give the okay. And then after we receive the governor's approval on our PIDGE, is what we call it for short, then that will go over to ITAC, and then we will go before that committee and justify the need of the expenditure of all this taxpayer dollars for the Department of Real Estate to have any system. So I wish it could just be the hearing and I could go and talk, but there's actually a huge report that has to be compiled with a whole lot of details and information. And I did mention how much I miss Jim, right? There we go. So first topic that we wanted to discuss is the salesperson licensing exam. Last week, we wrapped up a subject matter expert session where they went through a bunch of different items. Items are basically questions, but in the world of test making, they call them items in our question bank. And those results are being influenced right now by a psychometrician. In doing this process, we realized that some editing that we had expected to happen to the questions in the question bank. So an example would be a recovery fund question. And the question is, what's the maximum payout that can occur from the fund? And there's an item writing editor that their portion of this is supposed to go through and say, what fund? The recovery fund, because it makes sense to us because we're inside that section. But when the test is put together, it's not a section, it's just a question. And then that person's going to go, what fund? So we're doing a little bit of pushback right now. And some of the quality assurance measures that we were told would happen, we do not believe to have happened, or if they did happen, they are not to our satisfaction. And we're now pushing back to the goal is, more than timeline, the best real estate exam that we can put forward for the state of Arizona. So, so that is happening right now. Next steps, basically they're going to start testing the item bank and on live test takers. Everybody will get a few extra questions that are not graded as part of their actual score for passing or failing, but are to test, why are 100% of the people this? And then it's going to help us identify where we have gaps in curriculum so we know what we need to communicate, or if we just have a very poorly written question. And so that's going to start to red flag things. So that next level of testing of all of those items in our question bank is getting ready to happen. We hope to have an outline available to schools by the end of October this year. So we're getting very, very close. Our idea is to provide such a quality, detailed content outline that you really know what a person needs to learn in order to get their real estate license. And so North Carolina has a really fabulous one. We've sort of taken that as what we found amongst all the states that we looked at as kind of gold standard, the best one that we know of that's available. And we're hoping to do at least as good of a job, or maybe we can become the new gold standard. So no pressure on Mandy, but pressure,
She likes it.
she likes to win. And so all I have to do is be like, I just want it to be better than Lenny.
So if the outline is going to come out at the end of October,
Mhm.
what's the timeline that you're going to give schools to be able to update their content before you start requiring the new content to be taught?
Then, so we won't probably have a date where we say we're requiring you to teach the new content now. What we will do is say January 1st is right now our target. January 1st will be the date that the new test will be rolled out. And then schools can kind of make the determination of how you want to transition that from when you get the content outline until the old test is gone, new test is started. We did ask our test provider if it would be possible to have a transition period where a candidate could say, I learned the old test material versus, or, I learned the new test. I was taught this outline or that outline, and have sort of a slushing period where there were two exams that could be administered. And that was a hard, flat, no, not possible. So what we were told is we just have to have a firm date.
Will every school be required to resubmit their pre-licensing? Sometimes you can submit a course for like just an update change or a name change. Are we going to be doing that for the new course, or is it just assumed by ADRE? Even though I always tell people ADRE never assumes anything.
Yeah.
Are we going to have to resubmit new outlines for the courses for reapproval?
I think what we may be able to do is an attestation from school administrators that they've reviewed the new content outline and that they're, that they know their curriculum has been updated. And then upon the next renewal of your curriculum, you would submit your new. Because there's only one Kathy, and pre-licensing is a heavy amount of material, and we don't want to kind of create a bottleneck. So we'd rather that be upon everybody's expiration, but to sort of say, here it is. And then there's a portion where we do have to, I think, trust the school administrators to know. I mean, you want your students to pass, right?
Right.
That is the goal. The goal is the high, right? Like everybody wants their students to pass. And so, just a thing of, yes, we understand, we acknowledge the new test is here. We've modified our curriculum to reflect the new course outline, and we're ready to go. And, I think that's more the model that we've been discussing. We still have to do the statutory review and make sure that we're okay doing it that way. So, but lots of discussions on, okay, we have a whole bunch of schools. Do we even have the bandwidth to take everybody's curriculum and do a complete review right now of all of our pre-licensing schools and all of the changes? So yeah, we know there's an element to figure out there. And I would hope that when we roll out October 2025, we'll have clear detailed instructions about that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
Karen
who's got a hand up over there? Karen.
Hi there. I remember about a year and a half ago when Mandy started this entire process. She said, the goal was to be finished by the end of 2024, and then they realized that it was getting very complicated, and so that was expanded, and now it's completed toward the end of 2025, and all of that. And I understand all that, but when she first started rolling out the project, she said, once we get the curriculum established and the outline made, we will give schools buku, and those were her words, buku time to get it implemented. Now I'm hearing it'll be rolled out in the end of October, and by January 2026, we'll need to have it implemented. And that leaves us about 2 months.
It's not much.
And that is not a time to go through a 90-hour course. If all we had to do was just make the changes here and there, maybe there would be enough time. But changing a 90-hour online course especially requires new programming. It requires new audio. It requires new, sometimes videos. It is a lengthy process. I'm wondering if you would possibly consider giving us a little bit more time to implement the new curriculum to our 90-hour courses.
We can review it, but we have polled other states that have done this, and 90 days was on the gracious side compared to what other states have done as they've changed exams. But I'll review it again. I'll be happy to take a look at it again. It is something that, we are going to have to move forward with. It is something that schools are going to have to make a priority for. I get it. It's 90 hours of instruction. It's not all completely new. We are talking only about the Arizona State specific portion of it. Yes, we're cognizant of it, but our understanding from polling many other states is that that is an ample amount of time for most practitioners to get it done.
Okay.
You're going to have the old outline and the new outline. So you're going to see 12, 15, 30 different top bullet points. So we can do a supplement that says for the new test, that shouldn't take more than
Correct.
2 weeks, while we then take the rest of the 3 months to implement it. So you are going to have the old and the highlighted new, correct?
Yep. Mhm.
Got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do everything we can to sort of be like, this is new, this section here. You'll have both to compare. And, honestly, if the initial feedback from all of our pre-licensing schools when they receive content material is we just can't do it, then we're going to work with you, because obviously we don't want 0 providers out there that can prepare candidates to take tests, and we don't want candidates to get education that's not going to get them through the test. So, we'll stay in communication with the group, but 90 days is the initial period that we're going to push really hard to meet. And it would have to be a majority of the schools that can't make it, to really kind of influence that being delayed and delayed and delayed.
Okay. However, if it comes out at the end of October and we are to have the changes implemented by January, that's only 60 days.
Did I say the end of October?
Yes.
No, I said
October 1.
October. So the intention is at the beginning of October.
Okay. Very good.
Liz?
Thank you. You said it's only the Arizona State portion. So are you going back to something you said previously that there will now go back to 2 tests, one state and one Arizona, because the schools are going to have to prepare curriculum for that national exam as well if they're going back to 2 tests?
Right, most schools are already using a curriculum, we believe, that aligns with the Arello General Real Estate exam. I'm seeing heads nodding in here, so we don't anticipate there being a heavy lift at all for our pre-licensing schools as far as the general knowledge real estate exam. We think you already have that curriculum built out. There will be some new things in the Arizona specific, because we did put an emphasis on some case law. So there will be some new things in the Arizona specific that will have to be taught and added to the curriculum, or potentially you're already teaching it, but that will, be tested on. So really the big changes are in the Arizona specific side for most schools. We don't have a name, but it says VAC 2.0 education. Yes.
Oh, that's Mary. Sorry, I should have changed it. For clarification, you're saying that we are now going to have a test that's going to be national students will take, then they'll get their grade pass fail, and then they're going to have an Arizona test pass fail? And if yes, how many questions are going to be in each?
I don't know the questions off of the top of my head on how many are in each, but yes, there will be a national and there will be a state specific. If you'd like, you can send an email to Kathy and she can work with Mandy to get you the numbers that were recommended. We went with what was recommended by the test provider and people helping us put together the tests. It used to
Okay.
be.
Thank you.
I think that's what it is, but I just don't want to say that. Yeah.
Don't hold it to it.
It'll look really familiar. So, yeah. Okay, moving on. So the broker pre-licensing exam, we have a goal for that one by the fourth quarter of 2027. So Mandy does feel that the broker exam will go faster than the salesperson exam did. There was definitely a huge learning curve for us at the beginning of this. And so we are hoping, that's sort of the target, but we didn't forget that there's a broker license too. And that update will start as soon as we basically get the salesperson one launched and up and going. New ADA compliant website. So you guys probably have noticed if you use the department's website, we have a brand new website out there. All government agencies across the country, there's a new federal law, have to become ADA compliant in their websites by a drop dead date. Governor Hobbs made it a priority for all of her agencies, and she launched a program called Digital Dash. And we met our deadline. We met our deadline with 85% compliance to ADA. There are some elements of our website that we can't change that are run by another department. And so we've got some requests in for changes to that because that's lowering our score on ADA compliance. But it's a project that we visit on a monthly basis and look at to see what we can do to continue to increase our scores. But that's why you see a very much sort of simplified website presence, because it is designed to be completely ADA compatible. That said, if there is information that you are looking for, I highly recommend that you use the search tool. We tagged everything. And I do want to say there's 2 search tools on the website, and I mess with it. I get it messed up all the time. That top bar is not something that we can touch, unfortunately. And their search bar just jumps out at you and it begs you to search there. It's not there. It's below that. There's another search bar. And so that's the real estate department website. And if you search, we tried very, very hard to keyword and tag everything in there. And that might be the fastest way to navigate to things. You'll see that forms are no longer addressed by number. So everybody's used to sort of like turn in the 212 and turn in the right. Those are gone. We did reference them in the search bar for you.
Oh,
So
good.
like behind the scenes, if you know your course, your form numbers and you want to find them that way rather than type the title of it, we did accommodate and tag those to the best of our ability so you could search it that way. But the reason that they had to be expired was, again, screen readers and persons with disabilities. It's not considered a good practice of government to have everything be form this and form that. Like, they need to tell the IRS. That's the IRS.
Yeah, really.
Right? Like, tell the IRS. So, but if you wonder, like, why did the department spend the, time, money, and energy to redo its website? That's why. It was, basically it has to happen because of a federal law change and then directive from the governor's office. Let's see, public database for searching schools and courses. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. So I get phone calls all the time, licensees and candidates asking which school I would recommend. And obviously I cannot do that. And so I send them to the public database to search the schools and courses. And that's right there from our home screen as well. So a good tool for everyone to use.
And then I wanted to talk on water, but I only have a little bit to talk about on water. We recently met with the group of researchers from ASU that are working to put together resources for instructors and licensees that they can utilize that talk about Arizona's water more in depth and on a regional basis, because what you have going on in Cochise versus Sedona versus an AMA like Phoenix are very different water situations. And so we're continuing to expand those resources and make it better and better for this industry to be able to access tools that they understand how to use. Now, one of the questions that came up from the researchers was about the claimant system. And the researchers were like, we don't really understand what they didn't understand. And so Liz Recchi and I were like, oh, it's so important. So we wanted to make it clear in case anybody is teaching the water course that the claimant system is like how you acquire water rights. That's not the acquisition of water rights. Like you get to go to court unless you kind of the water rights have been adjudicated for years and years. But in a real estate transaction, the claimant system is a valuable resource. If you're buying a house that says we have water rights, you definitely want to go and check the claimant system. Is that water registered? Has somebody said, this is my water? And is the person that says this is my water the person who's selling you the land and the house? Because if it's not, well, you might want to clear that up before, if you're the buyer's representative, right? Before that buyer becomes the new owner. And if the existing owner is registered there, then you may want to obviously tell your buyer, okay, and we're going to also write in something where contractually the seller agrees to say, not my water anymore. And, here's the new person's water. So we just wanted to kind of clarify though, that it is sort of a declaration of, I claim this water. But at some point, somebody could say, no, that's my water, and take you to court and, sue you, which if you look in Arizona case law, there's court cases on water that go back to like statehood. So I don't envy the director of the Department of Water Resources. He has a very tough job. And then with that, I'm going to just hand over the rest of the meeting to Kathy.
Okay, so with our partnership with ASU, as most of you know, that they observed some of your classes to see what we're teaching in water, and they are building a resource to help consumers and licensees become more knowledgeable with that. So it was nice to form that partnership with them. We also want to make sure while we're talking about water that we talk about updating our course material on water because of the new Wilcox AMA. So making sure that we have that information in there. I was going into the deck that we have and making those changes, and we need to do a search to see how many of you purchased those from us. And then I can send that out to you with the fixes, with the updates in there. But I'm working on that. Yeah.
Our system's not particularly friendly to us. So we sold those courses too.
Yeah.
Speaking of the AMAs, where does information come from for us as educators to get to the public? And then by the point the public gets it, once they get input to the testing centers, so we don't know, is it 5 AMAs right now, or is it 6 for the tests? Do we name them? Do
So,
the students have to
Yeah,
name them?
that's a good question. So I asked Pearson View if that is a test question that they need to name how many there are, and that is not a test question. They just need to understand about them. And
Okay.
we refer to the Arizona Water is who we refer them to.
The reason why I'm asking that defensive, I've had 5 students come back and say they were asked to name them
To name them.
on Pearson View's exams.
Okay.
So there's one of the things that should be addressed.
On the
Yes.
current exam.
Yes, I'm encouraging.
All right.
Thank you for saying that, because I did ask Pearson View once. Now I will ask them
I would
twice.
ask them
So,
3
yeah.
times.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure, of course.
And I'll ask them to remove that.
And somebody else asked the same question earlier.
Okay.
More important that you know what an AMA is,
It's-
that more important that you know,
All it
auto
is.
replenishment and then, nothing. No government involved in your water and water rights and what you. Yes, question online, Mary.
It's along the same question you just asked, because students have come back saying they were actually given a list of names of AMAs, but they weren't like the real ones, but they would say like Tempe,
Correct.
Prescott, or something else, and you're supposed to pick out which one.
Correct.
And so that makes it very confusing, because we're teaching them the actual names of the AMAs, not the entire state. Phoenix, Glendale, Peoria are all part of this particular AMA. So I think we do need to look at those questions.
Okay, we will do that. It's not a perfect system when we ask Pearson View to go into the current question bank and tell us what's there. We will be much happier knowing all of our items because they were written and, by subject matter experts through the department's efforts and having our own thing. And knowing if we need to scrub and clean, I think it'll become a lot easier in the future. So, yeah. We'll always have to scrub and clean, so we're gonna scrub and clean that for you. Yes.
I just thought of one other question. Since we're doing 2 tests, will the pricing of the test change, or will it still be the same price?
The pricing is not going to increase overall, but for people who fail one or the other portion, they would only have to take whatever portion they failed. So if you pass your general real estate knowledge exam, then, but you failed your state specific, now they can stop studying their general and they can really get down and focus on that state specific curriculum and study that, because that's the portion that they need, and they only have to pay then for that smaller test.
Okay, thank you.
The vast majority of our people do have to retake their test, and so I think in the long run, it's a little save money for people. Okay, and then we just have this for.
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about our school instructor course approval system that Monica and I go through, and we work really hard. It's just the 2 of us, and so we have about 250 schools now that are certified through our department for the state of Arizona. So that's lots of schools, instructors, and courses we are working with. And we really appreciate all of you and your time and dedication that you put into bringing a high level of education to our industry. So I want to definitely thank you guys for doing that. We do have our new forms on our website, and most of you are using those. So thank you for doing that. And we were hoping with our forms that they would be more user friendly. And I think that they have been. I think that it's been really good. Yeah. Also, just want to ask that when you do turn in, submit your courses for approval, sometimes we get 10 at once from one school, and it's missing the same thing, all 10 of them, and so if we can just submit one course at a time, everything's in there, it's perfect, we get it approved, and then go ahead and send the second or the other 9. But that just helps Monica and I get it done more quickly for you, because that's what we're aiming for. State statute says that we have this long, but we try to get it done, as fast as we can for you. Also, what I'm seeing in some of the distance learning that we ask for a login so that we can take a look. And we can monitor the courses ourselves and see what it's like for distance learning. And sometimes that information is old, because you've been to school for so long and now our username and password aren't working anymore. So if you could update those, that would help us quite a bit, because then Monica and I can jump in there, or someone else from the department, and just take a look at what your system is like online. And then that would be a lot quicker for us too. Another thing that happens, it seems like monthly, is, the courses we renew them every 4 years, right? And so at the end of the month, those course numbers are old for the students that are, completing the course. And so if you could please make sure that when you get your course approved, if you can put the new course number on there for the students, because we get lots of phone calls from students not understanding why it's out of the date range. I'm not expired yet, but the course was expired. So just some things that kind of slow us down, that we would appreciate your help in partnering to make it smoother for everyone. So thank you. I've really enjoyed working with all of you. It's been a pleasure, and so nice to see you in person, and so nice all of you that have logged on online too. So I really appreciate you.
So a couple of things then to share with you guys that we see happening out there in the real estate industry, not so much to do with schools and education, but the ability for you to share this information with your students. We are aware that there are some listing agents that when having e-signature done on listing agreements and MLS profile sheets and agency disclosure and election, they're kind of sliding in a durable power of attorney with that. And they're telling sellers, you need to sign this in order to list your house. That this is standing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see your face. Yeah, that is a no.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know why all of a sudden, in a very short period of time, 3 of these cases have popped up that have made its way to the Department of Real Estate. But if you could do through your communication networks as well, that is a hard no.
Are they out-of-state brokers?
No.
Wow.
So yeah, that's not okay. A durable power of attorney allows you to sell the person's car, sell their house, like put them in a institution. I mean, it is bad. It is not okay. Yes.
So what is the resolution if you have someone who has encouraged a homeowner to sign the durable power of attorney, and they don't realize it, they don't understand the ramifications? Where do you go to register this and help?
Turn it into the Department of Real Estate.
Okay.
Yeah, if you see an agent acting on behalf of, and they say they have a power of attorney, turn it into us, because this new trend is not okay. And all of the cases that we have, the people had no idea that they were signing it, because everybody just gets too clicky happy with that little, transaction desk or DocuSign or, whatever it is that people are using. They just do it on their phone. The piece of paper is now this big, and they're just excited. And there's, that trust element in there with their agents, and we're finding that there was no discussion of power of attorneys, and the power of attorneys are being used to make price adjustments without getting consent of the seller.
What about if it's not an agent? Recommendations? I have a situation I'm aware of right now, and I'm encouraging them to go to the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, if it's real estate related, and we know that the Attorney General's office receives, we receive so many complaints. We know that they really do. And I think a lot of times the people that are doing that initial triage in the office don't maybe know the intricacies of real estate as much. So if it involves a real estate transaction in any way, then feel free to send it through us. If it's
Okay.
outside of our jurisdiction, we do not just say, outside of our jurisdiction, we will have a meeting with the appropriate group at the AG's office and do a handoff. So,
Thank you.
so we've gotten to know the consumer fraud people really well, the criminal people really well, the environmental people really well. So, yeah.
This question, and it kind of follows on Sally's question online there, for Zoom classes, we need to provide gallery screenshots now, and you need that repeated. I was at the caucus last week and a gentleman stood up and he said he was in a Zoom class, female instructor, didn't know the school, didn't know the instructor, but the instructor has told this class that everyone is now going to have to do a retina scan for a CE. And I said, guys, department doesn't have that kind of money, but information's out there, bad information. So how, when, what are we going to do to get it to the schools to let them know? Yeah, we've got to have a screenshot of you. No, we need your name, we need your ID. There's
Yeah.
too much bad information going around.
We are working on an SPS, so a substantive policy statement will come out to help people with, you know, what does it mean to certify a student's attendance at
Perfect.
a course and what types of records are examples. I mean, if a school wanted to pay to do retina scans, I mean, far be it for me for them to spend that kind of coin. I would not stand in the way of that school administrator. And they're like, we do retina scans. I'll be like, good by me, good, good. Yeah, wow, that's fancy. I mean, and that's the whole thing of like, you know, you are now going to be required to do a retina scan. Well, maybe that's that one school and they've decided to opt into that technology. And if you're taking courses through them, they're going to make you do a retina scan. Oh, wow, that's above and beyond, but, you know, but acceptable, right? Acceptable. So, yeah. Thank you though. But yes, we are working on that. It's just, tricky when you go to put everything down in writing to think of all the different ways and what the implications are of everything. The other thing that we're seeing out there on a rising basis, and I think market dynamics certainly play into this because you have aged listings and they have listings that expire and right, and sellers are maybe feeling a little more pinch and pain. Certainly sellers are feeling more pinch and pain than the, oh, no, not you, not you, not you. I'll pick you to be my buyer, right? Like that's not the reality for most listings out there right now. So what we are seeing is investors, I put that in like little quotey, you know, quotey marks for a reason, reaching out to real estate licensees and saying, I would like to make an offer on your client's listing, subject to the existing mortgage. Now, let me be really clear. They say, what we'll do is give your client Ellie $50,000 in walkaway money, and then we'll deed the property into a trust. Well, sounds good, right? Yeah, those that know how dirty this is. And we'll hire this mortgage servicing company, which if you drill down on that to the ownership of who owns it, lo and behold, one of the same. And who's the beneficiary of the trust? Well, it's not Ellie. And we will make the payments through this loan servicing company on the existing mortgage. Now, to layperson out there, they think they sold their house. In fact, they did. They just didn't get rid of their mortgage. They're still liable for the mortgage. Almost every loan out there has a due on sale clause. There are legal ways to do things. You can do a wraparound and create a new instrument, right? You can do an assumable, but that requires lender approval of the new. Maybe the seller has a tremendous amount of equity. The seller could do a carryback and create their own, you know, instruments. And there are many, many things. The carryback may require lender approval. What's not happening is lender approval. And specifically, who's being targeted are veterans. Now, why you would want to muck with VA loan fraud, I do not know. But what this is, plain and simple, is mortgage fraud. And the reason I know times are tough for real estate licensees, but if a real estate licensee encourages their client to say, this is great, because they're going to get their compensation out of it too. The investor says, I'll give you 50,000 and I'll pay your compensation of whatever. If a real estate licensee encourages their client to go into something like this, you're a party. You're a party to this fraud that is happening. And we see many cases of this. So please put the word out there. Do not encourage your clients to commit mortgage fraud. That would be really bad for you and your client. And
Class.
yeah,
Class.
yeah. It's, subject to an existing mortgage, if it's fully assumed and done in a lawful manner, great. And there are federally backed mortgages that are assumable, but they require lender approval. And this whole thing of like not telling the lender, the original person's still on the hook, that has to stop. And now, the new thing is to get the real estate licensee to get the blessing of it. And that's why we have to get involved. So, okay, so those are my two things. If you guys would just please spread that message out there. Don't be a party to mortgage fraud. It's a very bad idea. It's a maybe even a worse idea to be a party to mortgage fraud against veterans. Count how many stupids are involved in that whole thing, right? Like, bad decision making. So, all right. Any questions for Kathy or myself?
Nothing in the chat.
Okay. You want to just read them off? There used to be some brochures on the website, like getting a license, consumer tips, and they seem to be gone. I did search and didn't find them. Any ideas where they went? Mary, they're gone because they are not ADA compatible. And so anything on our website that is not ADA compatible had to be removed. So we don't have those brochures, and I'm trying to think. We do have podcasts, so maybe we can cover some of those subjects in podcast.
Those are the brochures. Can you create a PDF? Or at least a website?
I think
a
they were
page?
PDFs.
They were PDFs. but
I think
weren't
they were
readable.
PDFs. We would have to recreate the PDF with the purpose of
Yep.
making sure that we're creating a
Readable.
like an
ADA
ADA
compliant.
compliant
Yep.
kind of thing. So, yeah, I'm not opposed to it. It's again, gonna just be down to bandwidth and the ability of somebody having,
I agree, those are
Time to
good
do
flyers
it.
because people are always calling you and saying, how do we get a license for out-of-state brokerages? And your link to the flyer is actually very good.
okay. And maybe we can just put that information on a link to
Just
the
a, just a page.
page, yeah, a page of the
That
web,
page.
but yeah. mhm.
We do have that information on the website, but just not in the PDF form.
Not in PDF form. Are the links updated?
There
The
is,
links are, I don't think those specific links.
Last time I checked, I couldn't find the links.
isn't there an answer to how do I get an out-of-state license? I'm looking at Monica because she works on licensing too.
There is, but it's a different way it's set up. And I know some of the links in, some of the pages that it should link to, they're broken.
Yep, there are bad links.
What I would ask is when you guys go to get a resource that used to be on the website and it's not there, would you just send me an email and let me know?
What do you want
Because,
to go to?
what's that?
Send it to you directly?
Yeah, send it to me directly and then I'll walk it over to, whichever area kind of a thing and add it to, but we kind of, at my level, I don't know what is and is not there anymore. So I just know that it was like, get this thing ADA compliant. They didn't give us
To
much
be a
time.
resource too.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
Send me stuff
We
like
sent
that.
things to Kathy too, but if there's something that you were using, because we don't want a bunch of stuff out there that's dated and inaccurate, not being updated and shouldn't be available anymore. But if there were things that you were utilizing, we very much want to still provide those tools. Yeah. Sally, for Zoom classes, we need to provide gallery screenshots now, question mark, and do you need that repeated at beginning, after breaks, at the end of class? Thanks, Sally. So what we need is whoever is instructing to certify the attendance. So, we haven't specifically like, you must do it this way. We just think probably the easiest way for you is to do a gallery screenshot with a person's name and their face, because if your class does get audited, we have everybody's identification. We have their face on file here and their name, and we can play matchy-matchy if we're auditing that class to verify, student attendance. But I think it also, somewhat helps you guys as administrators to say, yep, we're verifying student attendance. If there's a cheater, there's, a good way for us to potentially, catch that person. So, I can't off the top of my head think of other way. I guess you can do retina scans. But
These retina methods.
yeah, but yes, you can, it's just that you have to have a way to verify that the student who's in there is the licensee. Liz says, will there be an outline provided for the national pre-licensing test? Yes, there will be an outline provided for that. Mary says, I think there was one with filing a complaint and possibly the summary. The timeline, what timeline? Mary, what timeline? I think you're talking about brochures.
Yeah, I think that's when we
I believe that's right.
Yeah,
There
what,
must be a brochure up about.
the
how to
summary
file a
of
complaint.
the timeline for
Yeah.
filing a complaint, is that all tied together?
Yeah.
There was a brochure about filing a complaint and it gave somebody an idea of the timeline. Is that it? Okay. I will look. So complaint brochure and out-of-state licensure brochure.
There was a question, it's gone down. If you can roll back up, Monica, someone had asked about a specific form.
There we go.
There we
The
go.
102.
102.
That's just the course application form itself. So there's gonna be a renewal section. So it's gonna be original or renewal. You'll just indicate it's gonna be renewed.
It says the links are broken. Okay, we can double check that.
Yeah.
8102 A and B.
Where do you even find that? I don't find a form that's labeled 102B or A or what, when I notice now you go there and you can try to search, but if I search certification or renewal, nothing comes up.
You could actually search ED 102 and it should pull up because those old form numbers were supposed to be tagged. But I guess it's like, is it ED space 102 or ED 102 or something?
Yeah, it's just course application form, 6 hour for
Yeah.
continuing education.
Yeah, course application form. I can't give you just off the top of my head, oh, click here and click here and click here, but I do know that the forms are on there. Do you
Yeah,
know?
it'll be underneath the visions on the top. You'll go to education, and there's gonna be a tab that says education forms, and it'll be listed there. I think it's the first one.
Okay, so on the tabs across the top, education and then education forms. And then. we
Okay, so education, I got education, I'm on the education page, and then when I hover over education, there's exam test, find a school, find a course, find an instructor, school login, and then there's the forms, right?
Yeah.
Right, and then, okay, I just lost it. Hold on one second. The forms. And then right in here, this is where, like, I was completely lost because there's only, I don't know, a handful, 7 here. And none of them are, let's see, course application form. So that's contract writing. I'm just renewing or, renewing a
so, yeah.
course.
It is gonna be that one, that course application form, contract writings, or continuing education. If you click on that, you'll be able to see where you're able to select original application or for a renewal.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Okay, do we have any more questions at the bottom or was that it on the chat?
I think so.
Form numbers have gone away. That was a directive from the governor's office. That's in ADA compliance. What will be the cost for a student needing to only retake one portion of the exam? John, we haven't set pricing yet, so I don't have the answer to that. All right. Okay.
Pearson, you kept their contract, right? So you're still gonna continue.
Yeah, the choices are Pearson View and PSI right now for test providers for real estate exams. Arello is looking at creating their own general real estate exam right now. So they do have a committee that's researching that right now. They did kind of do like an initial thing of, what should be on a general real estate exam. And I about had a heart attack because I was like, no, that's like how to build a real estate business. That's not what we teach in the world of licensure and regulation. Most Arello members, I think, are part of commissions, and they're actually still like active practicing real estate licensees. And it's kind of like what we know best as maybe like the state code of ethics panels. You've got active practitioners that are enforcing, set rules, but it's enforcing the laws of their state. And so I think they were the heavy contributors to, what does a person need to learn to become a real estate licensee? And like some of the initial things that I saw coming back were like, how to open a lockbox. And I was like, no, that's not what we were teaching. Yeah, Jenny.
So, that brings, since we're going to be separating back to the national and the Arizona exam, I think it's still in statute that about the 27 hours Arizona content. And that seems to conflict a little bit with the out-of-state license recognition rules, because out-of-state license recognition says we can waive your 90 hours, but you still have to take an Arizona exam based that you're going to be living in the state of Arizona. And I thought a while back when you said we were going to be splitting, remember how the students from out of state could apply for the waiver to waive the national content and would just have to take the 27 hours of Arizona law? So those two instances seem to kind of be conflicting. There could be a lot of confusion there.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is SPS it when we get to it. We'll put out a substantive policy statement.
Did you remove the 27 hours?
No, I think it's still statutory.
It's still,
Then wait,
I thought you were talking about removing it. Maybe you said you're removing it, but that's.
was it part of rule list
Thought it was.
or statute? I think it's statutory. We'll have to look at it. Yeah,
It's statutory.
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's statutory. So no, I don't believe that was one of the things that was changed.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. Well, thank you. I guess we are done at 10:54.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, you're welcome.
Are you still considering allowing the national test in Spanish?
We understand that the general real estate exam is available in both Spanish and English. There's a statutory requirement that we verify proficiency in the English language. But the Arizona specific test will only be offered in English so that we meet that statutory requirement. But we are very much planning on offering the general real estate exam in Spanish and English. We're going to find the most updated rules for instructors, and this that we should take a screenshot idea. Sherry, it's just that you have to certify attendance of your students. So there's not a screenshot rule per se. It's an option available to you. We've sort of said whatever mechanism it is that you are utilizing to teach your students, you've got to certify the attendance. And in certifying the attendance, that's some means of verifying that the people on the screen are actually the license holders. And, you know, one of the things that this department will do for the live online classes is if you have screenshots and you have required somebody to put the name that they have on their license and their face, then we will consider that certified without you having to have a copy of their driver's license and match their face and their name. We will do that just upon our audits. And so it was a thing to kind of make it easier for people to say, if you do the screenshot and save the screenshot, that's enough for us because we can verify.
So we save all of our Zoom video.
Oh, yeah,
And so this, you know,
that works.
it's there. We don't have a still shot of it, but we have it if you require it.
That works. That's even
Okay.
better. Yeah. Yep. Yep. But that's always been the case, that a school has to certify their attendance. Thanks, Sally. Good seeing your face. I'll see you in person sometime, Sally. All right, I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, thank you, everyone. I get to go back and read an SAAM. I don't even know what that stands for, but I'm not looking forward to it.